All right, guys, today we are going to do a new word work in our word work book. So you will need to get your little word work books. Go ahead and open up to our table of contents. Let's start with our root for this week, which is going to be on page 30 and 31. Our root is ped, or pod, which means foot. So let's go ahead and flip over to page 31 for me. So all right, we're going to begin by gluing the small little piece that has our words on there. The easiest way to do that is an X and then all the way around the edges. And then our other one, you have a sheet that looks like this. You are going to cut these apart. Each little foot, it doesn't have to be exact. I'm just going to trim around the edges of them. Put them down here. Just trim around so they're kind of close. Put them however you like, just so they fit on the page. Again, they don't have to be exactly. Just trim around them. Doesn't really matter what direction they go in, anything like that. Just try to get the extra little scraps off of there. All right, so I'm just going to make them kind of fit on my page. All right, so they look like this. What you're going to do is put just a little bit of glue right here on the edge of it. So right on the back of this, just put a little bit of glue. The back of like the heel of each one. Just like that. Give it just a minute to dry. Okay. What we are going to do is we're going to go and fill in under each of these feet, what they mean. So if I have the word pedicure, if you're a girl, you definitely know what a pedicure is. That means when you go and get your toes done. So we're going to put underneath a treatment to improve the appearance of your feet. It's when you might get your toes painted a different color or something like that. All right, then we have our ped and pod, which means foot, so you can just leave that one. In fact, you can put a dot of glue on the other side so it sticks good. You don't want it flopping around. All right, our next one is a pedometer. Your mom or dad might have this. Miss Anders has one of these on her wrist. It counts how many steps you walk. So it is a device that measures the distance a person walks. So it's a device that measures the distance a person walks. They're really becoming very popular with people that like to run and that kind of stuff. The next word that we have here is tripod. You see the pod in it, P-O-D. It is a stand for a camera that has 3 legs. A stand for a camera that has 3 legs. Looks like a T, but it's really an L. Okay, it's a stand for a camera that has 3 legs. Or you could say feet. It has 3 feet. That's kind of how pod comes into play there. All right, our next word is a pedestrian. You've probably heard this if you ever go to a really big city. Sometimes in downtown Mooresville you can see this. You have to stop for the pedestrians. And that is a person walking in a city. Person walking in a city is a pedestrian, someone on foot. And the last word that we have is podiatrist. Podiatrist is a doctor that treats feet. A doctor that treats feet. Let me give you a minute to write that if you did not catch it. All right, so we are going to flip back to our table of contents here. And we're going to look at our prefix. Now, we are kind of summing prefixes up. So what we're going to do is on page 10, we're going to put our, let's call this the opposite against anchor chart. And on page 11, we're going to put our examples. So this is what our anchor chart is going to look like. All right, and then we will have some examples that you're going to glue in there as well. All right, so let's turn to page 10. All right. First thing we might want to do is cut some slits. Now you only need to cut on those solid lines. Do not cut your dotted line down there. Okay? Remember, we wanted these to stay together. You don't want to cut this part that says opposite and against. You just want to cut up there to it. All right, let's put some glue on this. You'll need a line of glue. And it should fit right on page 10. Okay, so the ones that we are going to review today are dis, anti, and D. So let's look on our chart here. I'm going to turn it to where I can write on it. Dis, if you flip it back, it means not. It also means opposite of. Means not an opposite of. Anti, if you see that in a word, you know that that means against something. If I am anti something, then I would be against it. For example, I know a lot of you guys are probably anti-homework. Means you are against homework. D is another one. It means opposite from. So opposite from or away. So those are the three that we are reviewing today. Make sure you write your definitions underneath them. And then on page 11, we're going to glue in our little list. Now you may have to trim your list up a little bit. The first list that I have here are examples of the prefix dis. Disapprove, discover, distrust. That means you do not trust them. Dishonest, disappear, disconnect, displace, disgrace, disloyal, and disable. All right, my next one that we're going to glue down some examples of is going to be anti. Make sure you glue them as close as you can. Anti, antibiotic, antidote, antiseptic, antisocial, anti-slavery, antibacterial, antidepressant. All of those are examples of our anti. And the last one that I would like for you to glue in today is D. D, decode, decrease, deduct, decline, depress, depart, destructive. All of those are the DE. So when you see these prefixes in the word as you're reading and maybe you don't know the definition, then you need to make sure that you are trying to figure out those words. All right. You can now spend a few moments to color these two, make them look nice, and then you need to go into Blackboard Learn and do your activity that goes with these.